let's talk about grids. I can create grids both on plans or elevations, but usually it's better to do it on plans. Let's go on first plan. If we create a grid, I will see this grid also in the elevations that are perpendicular to it. So in this case, to the north and south elevation. In fact, if I go on the west, for example, I won't see it, but if I go on the south, I'll see it. Now,
you see, when you select a grid, there are a couple of options that appear that are really useful. As you can see, for the levels, you can decide if you want to see the name on the right, on the left, on both. You can do the same with the grids. So you can select this or that, and vice versa. Then there is this particular sign. So this 3D is telling me that when I click on this button, I'm gonna control the 3D extent of the grid. So if I change it here, it will change also in all the other views where this grid appears. So you can see it exactly as if you're changing the height of a wall. If you change it in one view, you will see it also in all the other views.
So controlling this, if I go on the north, you can see that it changed also here. If I bring it down, it changed also on the south. But look, if now I click on the 3D, it becomes 2D. So now basically, if I change this, it doesn't change on north, and it won't change on all the other views that are perpendicular to the grid. The grid will be always here. So what it changes is just how I see it in this particular view. Okay, now if I want to create other grids, of course, I can just say either grid, architecture, and I keep creating some, or I can select these and give an offset. If I know that I'm gonna have grids distant by 8 feet, I can just do this. Really easy. Then I can do grids, of course, also in the other direction. Let's say that here instead of letters, I want numbers. Look how easy it is. I just change the name, and Revit automatically knows that the next ones will be numbers. So again, now instead of creating all the grids, I can just copy grids. I make sure that here I have multiples, and I go with 8, 8, 8, and really easily Revit already knows that it's gonna be numbers. Now, the same thing we saw in elevations applies in plans. So if I bring this up, it will be up also on the second level. But if I say 2D, it changed only on the second level and not on the third level. So now, for example, if I want to bring only this down, first I unlock this, which means it's not going to be connected to these others. And when I drag down, it will change everywhere, but it won't change on the second floor where it will be still here.
Revit will even tell me, look, the grid actually finishes here. And if you want to reconnect it, you just have to drag the end into the actual 3D end. Automatically Revit will lock it to the other grids. And if now we switch back to the second level, you will see that the grid actually moved accordingly to our change.
Now let's do something interesting. If I go on annotate and dimension align, and I snap on these grids, and I click on the value equal here, and then I know that my grids, I don't want them to be 8 feet apart but 10, just moving this one by 2 feet, all of them will automatically be 10 feet apart. And a good tip for you guys is that if you don't want to see the sign equal, when you click on equal, you can just select the dimension, and here select value. If then I want this to be 12 instead of 10, I can move it, and so on and so forth. So let's say we want them to be 15 apart, or let's do 20 apart. Perfect. Now let's fix this too, and let's do the same for the horizontal grids. Again, equal. I select this one and I say move it 10 down. Actually 12 down. Perfect. Now, a really good thing to learn is the propagate extents tool. I'll give you an example. So let's say that I have this house that has this kind of shape. I'm gonna make it really, really rough, just for us to understand. Let's align this to this just to be a little precise. Okay. Now let's say that I don't want the grid to be, now we can delete this since we don't use them, we don't need them anymore. I don't need this grid to be so close to the wall. I don't want it so close. So let's say that previously we changed this grid in 2D for any reason, okay? And now I move it here because I have this wall and I don't like it. So I can either go through all the plans and change it again, because of course since this is 2D and I moved it into 2D, it doesn't change on the other plans. Or I can use the propagate extents tool. So I select this grid, I click on it, and then I click on all the views that I want to reflect my change. So if now I click on OK, look at this.
It changed everywhere. So that's about it for this tutorial. If you guys have any question, let me know. If you need any tutorial about something you're struggling with, just comment right below and I'll do something about it. Thank you again, and see you in the next one.